stablecoin started out as effectively a settlement layer, crypto to crypto settlement layer. So you can settle trades 24/7. Several years ago, the market cap was under 2 billion. Now it's just about 200 billion. So clear product market fit. It's no longer just crypto to crypto. You have, like I mentioned before, you have real world payments, B2B payments. There's a lot of innovation happening there, and you can, as investors, you can capitalize on those innovations through investing in the infrastructure that is powering all of this. So that's step one in product market fit for this technology. And then I think step two is DePIN, really. So DePIN, I just think it's such an elegant solution where you use blockchain and token incentives to organize a community to build out and scale real infrastructure projects that otherwise would have taken years to develop and billions of dollars in CapEx.
This episode of Encrypted is sponsored by the HBAR Foundation. The HBAR Foundation cultivates vibrant economies and ecosystems on the Hedera network by providing financial, community, and marketing support for projects, attracting millions of users and billions of dollars to the ecosystem.
Welcome to the Encrypted podcast, your gateway to the future of technology and innovation, right here in the heart of Dubai's dynamic tech universe. I'm your host, Maria Vovchuk, and together with Dubai Blockchain Center, we are embarking on a journey that unravels the minds of tech visionaries through the digital frontiers that are shaping our world.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Encrypted podcast. I'm your host, Maria Vovchuk, and today we're really happy to have here Patrick O'Cade, a general partner at Borderless Capital. With over 18 years of experience, his career spans venture capital, national security, and federal law enforcement. Patrick has been instrumental in pioneering Web3 projects and establishing industry standards for blockchain adoption. So his previous roles include leading crypto asset services at KPMG, serving as a special agent with DEA, where he was focused on financial crimes involving cryptocurrencies. Patrick holds an MBA from the Columbia Business School and BA in Intelligence Services from Mercyhurst University. When he has free time, he likes to spend his weekends with his kids. Is there anything else that you believe our audience should know about you that maybe I haven't mentioned yet?
I've had so many unique experiences when I was at the Department of Justice. I did undercover quite a bit.
Okay.
And that was probably, I never think I liked it because it was always very strange. But so I would pose as a darknet drug dealer.
Okay.
And my story was that I had millions of dollars of Bitcoin that I acquired by selling drugs illicitly. I didn't do that, but it was the story, right? And so I would meet with professional money laundering organizations. And that's their job, was to launder money. So I would meet up with them in Manhattan and get in the back of a car and have to make small talk with the bad guys. And you start out, you identify your first target, and then you do a small transaction. You start to build trust. You do multiple transactions. But the first time I did it, I had quite a bit of Bitcoin, and I was exchanging that for cash. And you meet up with them, and it's really kind of awkward. And I have my whole surveillance team around me, DEA agents, FBI agents, NYPD. One time we had a helicopter in the air.
Oh, really?
Because you don't really know who these people are and if they're dangerous. So there was a period of time where the confirmation times on the Bitcoin blockchain were really long. And this group wanted to wait for like 10 confirmations. So I was sitting in the back of this car with a guy who barely spoke English, and I didn't speak that language. And you have to try to make small talk while you're waiting for the confirmations to come. And I have my surveillance team calling me on my undercover phone saying, "Why are you sitting in the back of the car for 2 hours straight with this guy?" And the surveillance team doesn't know how the blockchain works. So they're saying, "Should you move to a place where there's better cell service?" And I was like, "That's not going to help." But so there were a lot of nuances that we had to work through. But a lot of unique experiences there.
Taking into account your background in national security and federal law enforcement, how do you think it has influenced your approach? Right now, you're in venture capital. You're JP at Borderless Capital. How does it influence your judgment when we're saying about startups, they're approaching Borderless Capital for investments?
So I think there's a lot of soft skills that I learned and acquired through my experience in national security and the DOJ. A lot of it is quickly identifying what is real and what is not. We talk to a ton of founders, and especially during bull markets, founders come out of the woodwork with these really amazing sounding projects. So in terms of conducting due diligence, I think I have an edge there in asking the right questions. Then just broadly speaking, I've always taken a very institutional approach to this technology. So and having this background, and after the DOJ, I went into KPMG and helped to build out their crypto asset services practice. And the whole point of that practice was to really institutionalize this technology. So we worked with the larger crypto firms and some tier 1 financial institutions, and help them get up to speed on the regulatory environment, compliance, security controls, and custody. So everything that you need to really make this an institutional asset class. So that's the approach that I take, and that's what I'm taking at Borderless, is working with the companies that are really going to provide infrastructure to financial services businesses and fintechs. So that whole experience from DOJ to KPMG has I've taken the institutional approach and kind of see what is really needed across the board to have this asset class and this technology used mainstream.
Having soft skills from your previous experience, you know which questions you exactly need to ask when we're talking about a startup founder who's approaching you. So what kind of questions, if you see an angel investor, he or she should ask a startup founder?
Yeah. So I mean, there's it's different. So it depends on the stage of investment that you're doing. Right now at Borderless, I'm focusing more on later stage, and that's different because there are clear fundamentals. The company has been around. They have revenue, and you can track the revenue growth, and you can understand what partnerships and the size of the market. Early stage investing is much different because it's you essentially sometimes have an idea and a founder. So with that, when you're working on early stage, you just have to really get to know the founder, and that's everything from social proof. You have to understand that the background that they're saying they have is actually true, and you have to interview some of their references that they provide. I've always asked for references, and then really understand. So a good founder will have very unique experience in the industry that they're operating. So if they're building a blockchain-based, if they're building a DePIN project, for example, that has to do with IoT, that founder must have really significant knowledge about the communications infrastructure that goes behind IoT. And you can assess that by interviewing the people in his sphere or her sphere to make sure that they have the right skills to do this. Moving forward, doing later stage investments, you really have to dig into their financials. You have to speak with the partnerships that they have and understand why certain financial institutions or fintechs want to leverage that technology. But yeah, every business will have a different series of questions, and you can kind of get a sense of the legitimacy of a founder pretty quickly, just based on the answers that they provide, really.
Got it. Well, actually, let's talk right now about Borderless. Since 2018, Borderless Capital had, if I'm not mistaken right now, 500 million in assets under management with over 250 investments. How do you think their approach you joined the team like a bit more than a half of a year ago. How have you seen that their approach has changed? Like when you analyze their previous investments with the current structure, how they're also, right now, Borderless Capital is opening a new fund as well. So how this approach has changed and how it has evolved and what kind of Web3 startups right now they're looking at?
So I think the approach is really strategic, and we're evolving in step with the industry and how the industry is evolving. So Borderless, we started out in 2018. We focused primarily on early stage ecosystem funds. So we started out in the Algorand ecosystem. built several funds in companies that were operating in and around the Algorand ecosystem. And then we moved into Deepend. Before it was called Deepend. And then we moved into CrossChain, so focusing on interoperability. So really, it's a function, the early stage pre-seed, seed funds, ecosystem funds, it's really a combination of where we see the industry moving from those early innovative stages in what the industry needs. Like interoperability is very important for all of this to work together. How many layer ones are there right now? They're not all good for everything. So there's going to be multiple L1s in existence, and they have to interact with each other for this to be a cohesive ecosystem. So we focus on what we think is important for the industry to grow, where the innovation is coming. And then through that, we've built a massive family of 250 plus portfolio companies. And the best of the best are emerging, right? We've invested in really a lot of the category leaders. So now we're moving towards a play where not only are we going to have a focus on what is up and coming and what's innovative, but we're also facilitating the growth of the best companies that are now getting into the real financial markets. And that's very important to focus on both aspects now. And we're set up very well to do that because of our track record at the early stage. And we have intimate knowledge of what the best portfolio companies are doing and how they're evolving and where the industry is going at the later stage. So it's important to have your thumb on the pulse of what's happening on the really early innovative side, and also continue to facilitate the traction of these companies that are moving forward. And I think that's where the industry is going. I think a lot of the returns we're going to see are going to be coming from those later stage investments. And there's really a lack of funding in that area. Most crypto native VCs still focus on early stage, and that's very important. But there's a gap. There's not too many that are focusing on what we call the traction stage. And we see a lot of examples. There were about 22 M&A deals in the second half of 2024 already. And one of the flagship ones was Stripe acquiring the Bridge stablecoin infrastructure for over $1 billion. I think we're going to see a lot more of that moving forward. And I think we're going to see a lot of IPOs coming. And we've been talking to investment banks, and there's a whole stable of crypto companies that are ready to IPO. And the macro environment conditions are changing, and we think that the exit landscape is going to open up over the next 5 years. So we're really focused on that as well.
Hedera is the most used, sustainable, public distributed ledger in the world. These are just a few of the game-changing applications built on Hedera, which is governed by the world's leading organizations and fueled by HBAR, the world's greenest cryptocurrency. What future will you build?
So there will be a new DePIN fund. In this case, which one are you focusing on, you specifically?
So I focus on our opportunity fund, and that's where we focus on the companies with the most traction. A good example of that would be Securitize. So we seeded Securitize. They were incredibly innovative. Before RWA was a thing, Carlos, the founder, saw that this, every financial market is going to be tokenized in the future. So he was really a first mover there. And as everyone is aware, BlackRock is using Securitize to tokenize their funds, along with several other large institutions. And Blockdaemon is another good example, pure node and staking infrastructure, but it's all geared towards institutions. And they have some of the biggest financial institutions as customers right now. So those are the types of plays that I'm looking at from my fund. And then we do have Deepin funds. I believe we're one of the most active Deepin investor, we're one of the most active, if not the most active Deepin investor in the space.
Well, actually, you have the whole fund that will be focused on DePIN startups as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that we're on our third DePIN fund.
Yeah. Talking about opportunity fund, let's say a startup founder approaches you. What kind of criteria do you have while evaluating a startup?
So for the later stage investments, we know pretty much which companies are positioned for meaningful exits moving forward. A lot of them are in our early stage portfolio, so we have intimate knowledge of what the teams are doing and when they need to go out for the next round of funding. So for those investments, it's a very traditional investment approach. We look at those equity deals and underwrite them similar to how you would underwrite a B2B SaaS business. We also do tokens. For token investments, we will focus on the blue chip products that are being used by traditional finance. We usually work with the foundations to invest in those tokens. We also do pre-launch tokens, and those will be the blue chip pre-launch tokens, the ones that have existing partnerships, and they're going to be listed on the best exchanges globally. So it's a much different approach to investing. It's more traditional, later stage growth investing. And we have a phenomenal team that has been doing growth stage investing for their entire careers to set us up for success there.
So taking, by the way, your again experience with the U.S. Department of Justice and how you see right now the regulatory situation changing around the world. How do you see, first of all, how is it going to influence the startups that are within Borderless Capital portfolio? And whether do you see that there will be, let's say, the scene will be changing?
So I think
after the president elections in the U.S., you're based in New York, and how do you see will it be changing? Do you believe that there more talent will be going to the U.S., or how is it going to change overall around the world?
Yeah, I think the new administration is incredibly favorable for our industry. And Paul Atkins, the new proposed head of the SEC, is very crypto friendly. And I understand that he is already working on moving the regulatory clarity forward in a very meaningful way. And it's not just talk. I think these things are actually going to be happening, and happening much quicker than we would expect for government to act. They're taking it very seriously. So I think what that is going to do is we've been begging for regulatory clarity in the U.S. for how many years? This will give a lot more projects the comfort and security to innovate in the United States without the fear of violating SEC rules. So I think we're going to have many more companies starting in the U.S. And the U.S. always had quite a lot of innovative projects launching, but I think we're going to see much, much more. And then I think globally, outside of the U.S., there's plenty of jurisdictions that were leading the charge in regulatory clarity. So VARA, for example, no regulatory landscape is perfect. At least the jurisdictions that went out quickly to realize that we need some sort of foundation, and then we can iterate on it in the future. That's very important. I think anyone that is doing that in a concrete way has clearly attracted a lot of the innovative companies to set up shop in those jurisdictions. So I think that's going to happen in the U.S. more, and frankly globally. So once the U.S. is on board with it in a more meaningful capacity, we're going to see a lot more regulatory clarity globally.
Borderless Capital, if over the last couple of years, I could say that you've been very active as well in the Middle East. So taking into account that Borderless Capital has been coming more often, as I could see, to Dubai and has been interested in the UAE landscape, can you please share with us, is it something that Borderless Capital is looking for to open a new office potentially? Or are you looking into the UAE market? Are you interested in the local startups? What exactly attracts you in the UAE as well?
Well, I think it's everything. I mean, we have portfolio companies based out of UAE. We were just meeting with one of them yesterday. So it's a combination of borderless. I mean, the name says it all. We're borderless.
Yeah.
We're global. We invest globally, and it's very important to make sure we are capitalizing on the best opportunities to put into our portfolio. And they're not those opportunities aren't just coming from the U.S. We have a very strong presence in Latin America. We'd like to continue building our presence here, and there's clearly a favorable regulatory environment here, and that's important. We have exposure to Asia, the Asian markets, and European markets as well. We have partners in Europe as well. So we are growing pretty substantially, and we just want to make sure that we have we're canvassing the entire globe for the best founders and the best opportunities.
Talking about partnerships, what role do partnerships play with organizations like Peak, Solana Foundation? You also have been partnering with Jump Crypto, IO Tax, and how in this case they help kind of accelerate the vision globally. Since you're also borderless, you like to partner with, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be focused on a specific region, which is very interesting. So how this kind of partnerships with Peak, Solana Foundation, Jump Crypto, and others help you from this perspective?
Well, I think it's mutually beneficial. So for both our Deepend, our CrossChain Fund, we have many of the top tier layer ones and ecosystems as LPs, and Deepend as well. We have ecosystem LPs into our funds, and it's a very symbiotic relationship. So with ecosystems investing in our fund, we can support the builders building in those ecosystems. And then especially with CrossChain, it makes sense to partner with Borderless to facilitate the interoperability across these different ecosystems. Because as one ecosystem can rise the tide for all ecosystems. So I think the various layer ones and ecosystems recognize how beneficial it is to partner with VCs that have a lot of access to the best founders, so we can drive more projects to certain chains, and then it benefits us because we get first look at the best founders building in specific ecosystems. So it's a very symbiotic, synergistic relationship.
Encrypted is your exclusive ticket to the epicenter of technological innovations in the MENA region.
When you talked about DePIN with a projected market size of 3.5 trillion by 2028, this is obviously an area that a lot of VCs are looking at. But obviously with rising startups that are using AI, they're building AI on a blockchain and tokenized assets, startups, everybody wants to tokenize all the real world assets. What kind of other trends within the crypto ecosystem you believe that, first of all, Borderless Capital is looking into, and secondly, you believe that we definitely need to follow, we definitely need to focus on? That's something that is going to be growing similarly to DePIN by, let's say, 2028.
Yeah, well, I think Deepend is very exciting, and so the way that I look at the ecosystem is, what are the killer apps right now? So clearly, financial services, there's product market fit, stablecoins. I mean, stablecoins, that's effectively RWA, right? So stablecoins started out as effectively a settlement layer, crypto to crypto settlement layer. So you can settle trades 24/7. Several years ago, the market cap was under 2 billion. Now it's just about 200 billion. So clear product market fit. It's no longer just crypto to crypto. You have, like I mentioned before, you have real world payments, B2B payments. There's a lot of innovation happening there, and you can, as investors, you can capitalize on those innovations through investing in the infrastructure that's powering all of this. So that's step one in product market fit for this technology. And then I think step two is Deepend, really. So Deepend, I just think it's such an elegant solution where you use blockchain and token incentives to organize a community to build out and scale real infrastructure projects that otherwise would have taken years to develop and billions of dollars in CapEx. You don't need that anymore with DePIN models. So DePIN, it can span pretty much every industry. You know, it started out with helium. We are early investors in helium. And now it's evolving to everything, mapping, geolocation. We invested in a company called GeoNet, which is really phenomenal. They're an RTK business, so real-time kinematics data. So think about GPS signals. They're only so accurate, and there's all sorts of environmental things that create inaccuracies with them. But with a device, you can really pinpoint that accuracy within centimeters. And so GeoNet is distributing those devices, and that data that they're collecting and selling is used for agriculture, it's used for construction, autonomous vehicles is very important. And they've grown to be the largest RTK business in a very short amount of time. And there's countless examples of that and things that we haven't even thought of just yet. And then I think the next iteration of where we're going, what's most important and where we're going to see a lot of innovation is, I think the real Web3 is not just blockchain. It's really AI agents interacting with humans, AI agents interacting with other AI agents. And the best technology right now to govern all of those interactions is blockchain technology. So the way I see the real Web3 moving forward is blockchain just providing that coordination layer to really an AI-driven internet. And it's going to be so important moving forward. So deepfakes, for example, they're very sophisticated. They're only going to get more sophisticated. So how do you, as users and consumers, know what is real, what is not? You can use blockchain technology. You can have somebody produce content and sign it with a public key and use blockchain technology as the map of that public key. And that will allow people to understand what is real and what is fake. You can have AI, zero knowledge to protect AI models and data. So think about healthcare or industries that have very sensitive data. A lot of that value can't be unlocked with AI just yet because there's so much sensitive data. You can use zero knowledge to make sure that there's no leakage of that data and run AI models against that. So we're going to see a lot of plays like that. That's $1 trillion opportunity that can be unlocked. And the foundation of that will be cryptographic techniques like zero knowledge and blockchain. So that's the way I see things unfolding. And right now I'm focusing primarily on the financial services businesses that have traction. The next iteration for at least my fund will be DePIN models that are very enterprise ready. And then moving forward, it'll be very much AI interacting with AI over the internet.
You also mentioned about stablecoin issuers. Are there many stablecoin issuers that Borderless Capital has invested into?
Many stablecoin issuers. So yeah, we just did a really exciting one. They're not public yet, but it's a layer 1 protocol specifically geared towards stablecoins, and it will provide the opportunity for distributing the yield that is generated through that to the users. We're going to see a lot more interesting stablecoin plays coming out in the future. So I think even though stablecoins have taken off, there's still a lot of room to grow there.
Apart from those that have already, stablecoin issuers that have publicly announced that they are planning potentially to go on an IPO, which ones do you believe might be the first ones?
Well, Circle is obviously
Apart
leading the
from
charge.
that.
Yeah. It's the way we look at stable coins, it's very much the infrastructure play, and that's what we're focusing on. Yeah.
Additionally, a lot of VC funds are focusing on, as they say, is the next stage, apart from layer 1s, layer 2s, like the infrastructure projects, is the killer app on blockchain. Do you see any of the apps right now, any of the dApps that might be right now? There's maybe 1 or 2 that may have the potential to become a killer app on a blockchain.
Yeah, that's such a good question, and that's what everyone's trying to figure out, right?
Yes.
Look,
Do you have any guesses? Because this is like as they say, $1 million question. Who will be the next?
I don't know specifically who will be the next, but I do think I think DePIN will be the Deepend's the most exciting next iteration of blockchain, and it's happening now, but I think we're going to see so much value unlocked. It's providing infrastructure to places that couldn't get it before. There's so many use cases. So I don't know specifically what the next killer use case is going to be, but I think it's going to be related to Deepend.
Rapid fire questions.
So Patrick, right now I'm going to ask you quick questions. You need to answer quickly and we move on. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so if you had to explain blockchain to a child, how would you do this in one sentence?
I would, and what I do tell my daughter is that it's a magic notebook that her and her friends share. They all have the magic notebook.
Okay.
And they keep track of everything they're trading.
Okay.
And when they write something down in one notebook, it automatically appears in all of their notebooks. And they can't erase everything.
Amazing. Name 5 qualities that you believe a real entrepreneur should have.
Grit.
Right.
Deep industry experience. And the ability to pivot.
3, but 5.
Oh, 5. Oh my goodness, there's so many.
Name 5 qualities.
So, what else do we have? We can do, there's so many.
What should you
ability to network and find solutions.
Okay.
And they have to be a good engineer as well.
Okay. The biggest misconception people have about Web3.
That it is just crypto and that there is not more than just the speculative nature.
Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin.
Why?
Because Bitcoin is digital gold. It's the best store of value out there.
What would you never do while building a company?
What would I never do
Yes.
while building a company? I would, that's a question. I would never build a company if I couldn't bring on the right team.
My business philosophy is?
Provide value to everyone you can.
How often do you practice a keynote speech before you go on stage?
Oh, I'm incessant with practicing. So I have a pitch coach that I work with on a regular basis. So I take that very seriously.
The most overrated blockchain project in your opinion?
I'm not going to answer that one.
The most underrated one?
The most underrated one. I think there are, I'm not going to say names, but I think there are a lot of projects that have government capabilities that are rather boring, that don't get the hype, but they're going to be very, very lucrative.
Interesting. If you could time travel, which era would you visit and why?
I would visit 100 years into the future because I think we're growing exponentially technologically, and the world is going to look drastically different than it does now, and I want to see that.
The next big trend to follow? Tech trend.
The next big tech trend, I think we're going to see so many new use cases for AI agents, and it's going to blow our mind.
What is your personal formula for success?
Really, anything that I've achieved is pure hard work.
Got it. And Dubai for you is associated with?
Opportunity.
Amazing. Today we had Patrick O'Kane, General Partner at Borderless Capital. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And see you all soon.
From the gleaming skyscrapers of Dubai to the innovation hubs of the Middle East and beyond, Encrypted brings you thought-provoking discussions, exclusive insights, and stories of innovation that will leave you inspired.
This episode of Encrypted is sponsored by the HBAR Foundation. The HBAR Foundation cultivates vibrant economies and ecosystems on the Hedera network by providing financial, community, and marketing support for projects, attracting millions of users and billions of dollars to the ecosystem.